Chapter 13, Boundaries and Yourself. Sarah heaved a long sigh. She had been working on major boundary issues in her therapy for a while now. She was seeing progress in resolving responsibility conflicts with her parents, her husband, and her kids. Yet today she introduced a new issue. I haven't told you about this relationship before, though I guess I should have. I have tremendous boundary problems with this woman. She eats too much and she has an attacking tongue. She's undependable, lets me down all the time, and she's spent money of mine and hasn't paid me back in years. Why haven't you mentioned her before? I asked. Because she's me, Sarah replied. Sarah was acknowledging a conflict most of us have. We learned that boundaries are biblical. We begin setting limits on others. We begin moving from taking too much responsibility to taking just enough. But how do we begin to set limits on ourselves? As Pogo Possum cartoonist Walt Kelly's popular swamp character says, we have met the enemy and he is us. In this chapter, instead of looking at the control and manipulation of others, we'll be looking at our responsibility to control our own bodies. 1 Thessalonians 4 verse 4. Instead of examining outer boundary conflicts with other people, we will be looking at our own internal boundary conflicts. This can get a little touchy, as the disgruntled country church member told his pastor as he left after the Sunday sermon, "You done stopped preaching and you done started meddling." Instead of taking this defensive posture, we are much better off to look humbly at ourselves, to ask for feedback from others, to listen to people we trust, and to confess, I was wrong. The out-of-control soul. The Bible and all of psychological research affirm an important reality about healthy, fulfilled, happy people. They have something called self-control. Galatians 5 tells us that it is a fruit of the Spirit and we are called to develop it. As all of us can attest, we all struggle in one area or another with self-control and maintaining good boundaries with ourselves. We'll take a closer look at some of the more common struggles, but certainly there are many others where this concept applies. Food. Teresa's secret shame was becoming more difficult to keep a secret. Her 5-foot frame could hide a little extra weight, but over the last year she had gradually gained more than 30 pounds. She hated it. Her dating life, her stamina, and her attitude towards herself were all affected. She felt out of control in her successful but stressful career as an attorney. Sweets were her go-to source of comfort when it felt like everything was falling down around her. 12-hour days meant lots of isolation, and absolutely nothing filled the void like high-calorie takeout from the local fast food restaurants. No wonder they call it comfort food, Teresa would think. What makes overeating especially painful is that weight is so visible to others. Some who are overweight feel enormous self-hate and shame about their condition, and like others who suffer from out-of-control behavior, those who are overweight can sometimes feel overwhelming shame for their behavior, which only serves to drive them further away from relationship and back to food. Both chronic and binging overeaters suffer from an internal self-boundary problem. For overeaters, food serves as a false boundary. They might use food to avoid intimacy by gaining weight and becoming less attractive, or they might binge as a way to get false closeness. For bingers, the comfort from food is less scary than the prospect of real relationships where boundaries would be necessary. money. A now famous bumper sticker reads, "I can't be overdrawn, I still have checks left." People have tremendous problems in many different areas dealing with money, including the following: impulse spending, careless budgeting, living beyond one's means, credit problems, chronically borrowing from friends, ineffectual or non-existent savings plans, working overtime or multiple jobs to pay all the bills, repeatedly bailing out others who make irresponsible financial choices. God intended for money to be a blessing to us and others. Give and it will be given to you. Luke 6 verse 38. In fact, the Bible says that the problem isn't money, it's the love of money that is at a root of all kinds of evil. 1 Timothy 6 verse 10. Most of us would certainly agree that we need to be in control of our finances. Saving money, keeping costs down, and shopping for discounts are all good things. It's tempting to see money problems as simply a need for more income. However, the problem isn't the high cost of living, it's the cost of high living. The problem of our financial outgo exceeding our input is a self-boundary issue. When we have difficulty saying no to spending more than we should, we run the risk of becoming someone else's servant. The rich rule over the poor, and the borrower is a slave to the lender. Proverbs 22, verse 7.